Thank you. Thank you very much, Karen, and everybody here for being here today. My name is Janet Vargas. I'm a trainer and coach with Illinois Action for Children's CS3 team, which stands for Community System Statewide Supports. And I'm very happy to be here with you all. And thank you for being here on a cold evening, if it's anything like where I'm at. And thank you to Early Childhood Professional Learning at the Center for inviting me today to present the why, what, and the how of family engagement in early childhood systems. So let's get started, and whoever joins after now can just jump in. So I'm really excited to hear who is here with us today. I think we have a small enough group we can either use the chat or unmute and just jump in and introduce ourselves with the check-in questions, which include your name and your organization or agency, your affiliation and role, your location, and then what image corresponds with how you feel right now and today. So I could start us off. Again, I shared my name, Janet Vargas with Illinois Action for Children, trainer and a coach. I am joining you all today here from the southwest side of Chicago. And what image or corresponds with how you feel today? Well, number 6 and number 4 a little bit. I'm gonna combine. I'm very excited to be here with you today, but I am on my second cup of coffee, and I'll continue to sip as I spend some time with you all today. So you could either add this information to the chat or jump in. 1 and 2, I feel you. Who's ready for Thanksgiving? Nice. So here, so Linda Fogerson, Head Start Savoy, number 1 and 2. Brenda Long here, Laura Chavez from Family Literacy Program in Arlington Heights. And so I know some folks are kind of going to be multitasking. It's later in the evening, so feel free to use the chat. But also, if you are like me and like to just unmute and just chat, you can go ahead and do that.
My name is Lila Dominguez. I'm with School District 300 out in the districts in Algonquin, but the school I'm at is DeLacy. It's in Carpentersville, Illinois. And we're doing report cards and goal updates, so I'm feeling number 2. I just want to curl up and just stop.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us today in the middle of all that, for sure. 2, so we have some 2s and 4s, yes. 9, a 4, coffee, life. Thank you. Number 1 and number 2. And you may recognize these images from memes that are just flying around. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear, Brianna, that you're feeling a little sick. And they're coming in a little bit more. All right, 4 and 6. And I don't know, right? I'm also 4 and 6. I'm like, I don't know which came first, 4 or 6. Probably at the same time. So you got a number 3. Another number 5, another number 3, overwhelmed. Been a tough couple of years, and this fall has been full of transitions for sure. You got a 2, a 1, and a 6. Well, thank you all for sharing. I definitely wanted to acknowledge that we're all showing up here as our whole selves with feelings and lives, and so much. I also wanted to do something fun. So thank you so much again. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So today we're hoping to use this time to learn or revisit for a lot of you, because we acknowledge that there's a lot of a lot of knowledge and experience in the virtual room. We're hoping to create a space to revisit or learn about the benefits of engaging parents, the CS3 definition of parent engagement. Again, CS3 is the team that I work with. And the 4 typical parent engagement roles that that are within the community systems and policy sphere, which we're going to be talking about. Also just realized I didn't explain what our team does. So the CS3 team with Illinois Action for Children, which stands for Community Systems and Statewide Supports, we offer coaching and technical assistance to early childhood collaborations across the state of Illinois. And personally, I joined the team with almost a decade of experience on family and parent engagement, parent leadership development, and parent-led policy and systems change work across the state of Illinois. And so I do want to let you know that today's workshop will be, or webinar will be revolving around the content that my team and I put together in a handbook entitled Engaging Parents in Early Childhood Collaborations. We won't be sharing the handbook with you directly, but we invite you to join our website and access it there. Our department wants to know how many people are accessing it, and so that's a way that we keep count. I will share the link where you can find the handbook now. And so we're going to be talking about parent engagement in community systems. And for us and my team, a lot of that work takes place in early childhood collaborations. Does anybody here participate in their local early childhood collaboration? And you could just put it in the chat since I can't really see everybody's video at once. Does anybody know what an early childhood collaboration is?
I was just about to ask, can you elaborate on that a little bit more, please?
Sure. Thank you, Lila. So early childhood collaboration. Okay. So see from Val Hansen that supervisor does, and she relays information. An early childhood collaboration is a group of early childhood stakeholders that work at a local level to explore early childhood system issues and address them together. And so it could be at a neighborhood level or at a county level, where anybody and everybody that interacts or services a child and their family within the ages of 0 to 5 or 0 to 8 really come together and try to align their services and address issues across the system. And so for today, this might be if you're not participating in collaborations, it's fine, because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some parent engagement strategies and tools that you can either take back to your agency or just apply in your everyday life. And I hope that there's some overall lessons that are applicable. And like everything that we do, take whatever you like, and whatever doesn't fit, feel free to leave it here too. And I also want to go as we move forward. I applaud Lila for just unmuting or just asking questions. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or just unmute and jump in. So on our agenda today, we're going to talk about, why do we engage parents in early childhood systems? What do we mean by parent engagement? A little bit about how to engage parents by reviewing 4 parent engagement roles that we typically see in community systems and policy work in early childhood systems. And we're also going to share what we call 4 pillars of intentional parent engagement. We'll have a short question and answer period, and then we'll share available resources that my team offers for free, where we can continue our support if it's something that you're interested in. I do have a definition of early childhood systems. And basically, it's programs that support the healthy development of children prenatal to 8 and the systems that coordinate and align their services. So all early childhood services and the way that we work together. And I'm going to set a little bit of the landscape again. Well, what do you mean by, community systems? So this graphic that we're sharing with you is something that our team put together, and that was inspired by Community Organizing and Family Issues, COFI, which is a statewide parent leadership organization. And we call these the early childhood system spheres of parent influence. What are they? So we looked at the early childhood system and saw that the parents can get engaged at different levels, and each sphere, every circle, represents the level that if a parent gets engaged, they have power, influence over that space, right? And so in our experience, we see that parents get engaged typically for the first time in the self and family sphere. They're looking to get engaged in the role of potential early learning clients. They might be looking for a program or trying to learn about them. And so this might be their first engagement with the early childhood system. Another role that we see sometimes and not so often is actually the one of adult learner, where parents might start a GED program or English as a second language program with the goal to further themselves and their family. So that's what they're influencing. Or parents as the first teacher, right? Going to workshops or activities so that they can be better positioned to help their child's academic career. And then once they might find a program that they like and then dive into the second or the following sphere of influence. We call them programs and services. So they might actually start participating in programs like yours, like Head Start or preschool or home visiting. And so just by being a part of these programs, they're already participants. And then some parents might continue their engagement and become volunteers either in the classroom, in the program, the schools. And then there's also the other role within that sphere where parents can actually partner with the programs. They can either join like an advisory group, or like something like Head Start's parent policy group, and influence how programs and services are carried out. And then, so in terms of parent engagement, we see a lot of resources, and there's been a lot of really great development in the first 2 spheres. But what we're seeing now is that we don't have as many resources in engaging parents in what we call the community systems and policy area. So engaging parents in ways that that where we are partnering with them, we are hearing like what's working and what's not in the broader community level, where they're advocating for policy. And so we do offer 4 of these roles, where how can we continue to take that engagement to the next level. And that's where we're going to be focusing today's work and today's time on those 4 roles of what we call family and community expert. And I'm going to go into each of these roles a little bit more further in depth in a minute. But family and community expert, hearing about their parents' experiences, outreach ambassador, like a peer-to-peer outreach initiative, collaboration parent leaders, which is actually bringing parents in physically so that they could partner within collaborations, and then advocates is speaking for or against a policy or practice of the early childhood system. All right, and as we offer training and resources around parent engagement, I think one of the first questions that we encourage everybody to ask themselves and answer for themselves, either like both individually and collectively, is why are we engaging parents? Like, to what end? And so I'd love to hear from you all. If you are already engaging parents, how are you, why are you engaging them? And then, and if you were looking to kind of begin your engagement, you can also share why might you want to engage them. So you could either put it in the chat or unmute and jump in. I love chatting. So why do you engage parents and families? Okay, I see Lila, to get to know them and how to educate their children. Awesome. So a little bit of like engaging parents to help them in their role as first teachers. Parents are the experts in what the kids need and experience, so you need their perspective. Thank you. I feel it makes them feel included by giving them direction and connection to the school. We engage our preschool parents so they can learn how they can be teachers at home in their everyday living. We engage parents so that they can feel like partners in their child's learning and development. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. There's more coming in. To help parents need so they can help the children. Directly correlated to child success. Yes, yes. Research shows time and time again that when parents are engaged, children to have better outcomes academically, health-wise, all around. Hopefully they will take more of an interest in child's education, and engaging parents can enhance student learning. Sounds good. So I'm hearing a lot of the engagement really happening right at that both the first two spheres, right? Like engaging parents to help them in their role as parents as first teachers and as participants of your program to get them involved in their child's education. Awesome. And yeah, like what we see typically, we did a lot of research to put together this handbook that I shared about, and all the resources that we put together. And what we've seen is that, yeah, we overall, like broadly, we tend to engage parents to see better academic, social, and health outcomes, like for their children and their families. And specifically, because I think there's like a big why and then a little why, we tend to engage parents to recruit and enroll them in our early childhood programs. to support family well-being through referrals, through, kind of building that partnership, making sure that all their basic needs are met. And to the one that I want to focus on today and the one that my team really has developed tools for is to inform systems change, to hear about what's working and what's not working to better serve families. That's and then I think we engage them for all of the above at different times. And so I have a question for you all, like, who benefits from parent engagement? The students, yes. Everyone, students, everyone. So I think definitely we're on the same page. Families, children and their parents, programs and services. Well, families, for all the reasons you all talked about, parents can feel more empowered and better equipped to be able to support their children's development. They're also doing, if they're connected to basic resources, they are in a better place to support the development of their children. Programs and services, if they hear kind of like about their family's experiences, the good, they could keep on doing it, and then the things, room for improvement, they can improve. Systems, and because taking all their feedback about what's working and what's not working, we could make broader systems and then make sure that these that we're talking about what's working and what's not working at the community level and not necessarily just one program, because oftentimes that families kind of are in the middle of so many different programs and just whole communities. So I agree, everyone's a winner. We're going to get into the specifics in a second. Okay. So part of when we're putting together our resources, a lot of times stakeholders were asking, right, to hear about parent stories or experiences directly about, well, when have we engaged families and parents at the community level? And we didn't want to be telling parent stories. We wanted them to be able to share them themselves. So we put together some videos, and we want to share a clip of a video that we put together, or that we did not put together, we just captured on video. All right, so we're going to show you a video featuring Isaiah and talking about why he is engaged and what parent engagement means to him. He works in, he's participated in the Southside Early Learning Network in Inglewood here in Chicago. And we're going to hear from him a little bit. And as you are hearing the video, I invite you to kind of to capture, right, like, why is it that he is engaged?
Parent and family engagement, what it means to me is, it means growth and development and love, unity, honor, respect. I was a destroyer of my community. Now I'm a rebuilder. Rebuilding it means to start from the inside out. So the inside is going out inside the community, letting the people be aware of things that's going on, as far as either political, or maybe they need a food pantry or something, or maybe they need help with their children, or maybe somebody's going through domestic violence and they need some help. So it was very important that learning these skills is allowing me to be able to be informational for people. If they need it, I know. If I don't know nothing about it, I know where to send them so they can get some information about it. And it's beautiful because when I talk to some of the fathers and some of the mothers, they be like, man, how you know this? I'm a part of it. It's just a great feeling because there's a lot of things that I didn't know. And I'm saying, wow, man, And I know how to go here to get it, and I know how to go there to get it, and I know how to give it to somebody who don't have it at all. Because being a leader, they follow my lead. Instead of leading them into some darkness, I can lead them into some light to be more beneficial to themselves, others, and most important, their children. And being a leader, I have to be a pioneer. I just don't tell them about it. I'll go through the program myself and see how it is, and then I'll report back to them, and then be able to give them the leeway if they want to be in it or if they're not. Because some things they're going to have time for, and some things they're not. So being a leader, I need to be able to give them exactly what they need instead of what I want them to have.
All right. So if you were watching that video, what pops out at you as why is Isaiah engaged in his early childhood collaboration? And you can put it in the chat or jump in. I need to find the chat though. It hides on me. Okay, he wants to help people in his community. He's invested in his community. That was a great testimony. He's really invested in his community and truly wants to help build people up. He gets what he needs and shares with others. Thank you. Yes, Isaiah has built his own leadership and knowledge of the local early childhood system, what's available. He seems very passionate about others in his community, yes. And I think one of the ways, and he doesn't share it here, I wish he did, that Isaiah has really helped the work in the community is by sharing his testimony with other parents about how he, when he became involved with the local collaboration, he was without him and his toddler didn't have a place to stay, and really relied on various early childhood programs and then different local resources, and I think for him, he's able to share his story with other people about how these services really helped him, and he is his knowledge about the local system helps him be in a position to then promote these services for other parents. And I know in that particular collaboration, what has really worked is just, I know parents coming into the space and asking folks like, hey, I go to you, for one service, and I go to you for another service. And these are some ways that you all can work better together to make our experience a little bit more seamless. And so they are really, that work has looked different over the years, but one of the main, I think, benefits for having parents in that space is to really hear again, like what's working across the community and what's not, and to help these programs work a little bit more as a united front. Let's see. And so when we are promoting parent engagement, we are really promoting it as it's not even like a means to equity, but really for us, like parent engagement and family engagement is equity in action, right? And so as a group or as an individual, you become really clear on what does parent engagement mean for me or for my group, for my team. What does it mean, and what am I committing to? What am I committing in terms of resources and time, and what am I willing to do? And then moving into eliminating obstacles, because another conversation that we've had is just how within the early childhood system, there's some very real obstacles for parent engagement and participation. And so really working with a community to identify what is it that is getting in the way of you participating, and then, you know, acknowledging that it is, as early childhood providers and stakeholders, it's our responsibility to eliminate these obstacles. Because then once those obstacles are eliminated, it leads to more effective partnership and really bringing in the expertise and the leadership of parents, so they can identify what's working, what's not, and help us change the system so that the system may work for everyone, and in particular those groups that are underserved and under-resourced historically, which leads to more equity. And so I know for you, it's a lot, for you all, seems like you're not so much engagement at the collaboration level, but more within your programs and maybe your schools and your classrooms. And yeah, I think this can still be applicable to those spaces, particularly, you know, about eliminating the obstacles and really asking what's working, what's not, so that their engagement, we are empowering them to be, you know, the best parents that they can be, and to be their parents' first teacher, but also they have a lot to give us, to tell us how do we better reach them and other families. The next strategy is to really define parent engagement. How many times have you all heard parent engagement being thrown around and wondered, like, what is it that you mean? And so we're gonna have you all participate in a quick poll. And so Karen just launched it, and the poll question is there a parent engagement definition that guides your parent engagement practices in writing? And you can, yeah, the responses are yes, no, and I'm not sure. All right, so we're still seeing responses coming in. And if you do have, while everybody's finishing the poll, which I think it's finished, if you do have a definition that you use and you want to share it in the chat, or share it later in over email, that would be great. All right, so I think we have 20 out of 20, Karen, so we can go ahead and share the results. Can you see the results?
Shared, you might not be able to see it. 40% or 8 people said yes, 25%, 5 people said no, and 35%, 7 and 7 people said I'm not sure.
Thank you. Okay, and see, I see in the chat, Jessica shares not so much a definition, but the 6 principles NAEYC provides for parent engagement. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful, or something that guides your parent engagement. That's awesome. And yeah, feel free to share it. If you do have a definition, feel free to share it in the chat. And so we always ask people this question, because what we found, and thank you all for participating, but what we've found a lot of times is that the word parent engagement gets thrown out, and it's very, like, it's a buzzword, it's very sexy. But what I might mean by parent engagement might be different from what Brenda or Lila or Janine means internally. And so so we encourage everybody to have that conversation as a team, as a collaboration, even individually, saying, like, what is my definition? What do I mean by parent engagement? And that it be specific to the work that you are doing and the setting that you're working within. see any interaction with adults associated with a child in our program. Thank you, Linda, for sharing your definition. Because a lot of times we're asking our team or even ourselves or to help engage parents, and how can we hold ourselves accountable to our commitment that we make if we're not exactly sure what we mean. And even then, like any engagement, so Linda, I thank you for sharing that. I'm also curious about whether your team has gone further to say, how do you measure that, or how is it engagement anytime that I talk to a parent? Does it have to be a meeting? Does it have to be long? Does it have to be short? I don't know. So just really being clear with the definition parameters and our principles. And so I'll share our definitions, because I think this is definitely what our starting point was. First of all, I know I've been saying, kind of moving back between family and parents. Once we got to the community systems and policy sphere, we noticed that we were engaging, mostly parents, and not necessarily engaging the children and the parents together. And so we landed on the definition of the Head Start definition of parent, which is all adults who interact with early childhood systems in support of their child. Excuse me, including but not limited to biological, adoptive, foster parents, grandparents, legal and formal guardians, uncles, aunts, adult siblings. So really any adult that shows up for their child is who we're talking about when we talk about parents. And specifically, our parent engagement, we defined it as both a process and an outcome. So something that we do and something that comes from what we do. And so the process, your parent engagement is a process by which parents inform and influence the collaboration's priorities, strategies, and decision-making. And it requires an intentional effort by the collaboration to provide the opportunity and support parents' needs to participate. As an outcome, so what happens when we do this is ideal parent engagement is successfully achieved when parents and collaboration members build effective partnerships and share responsibility, expertise, and/or leadership in the collaboration and its work. And I know it's very specific to collaborations, and we encourage everyone to be very specific, again, for in the definition. And you can, if you like, you could even swap out collaboration for program or other words. But I'm curious, what words kind of stick out for you in our definition? You could, again, like we've been doing, chat or unmute. Or even not only words, if anything in particular stands out to you. Inform and influence. Thank you, Anna. Inform and collaborate, influence and collaboration. Thanks, Val. Collaboration. Intentional effort. Thank you, Brianna. Yes, definitely for us, it was important. What our team also started by doing is to just sit and talk about what are our beliefs around parents and their children and in relation to the early childhood system, and then how that influenced how we defined parent engagement for ourselves and our collaborations. And for us, it was, important to share power, to share influence, to build partnerships, and that it be something that is intentionally done by providers and stakeholders. It's not something that just kind of happens, but something that we have to build and continuously resource and water, right? Like as soon as we stop watering this work, it dies. So thank you all. And for us, it's also really important that it's like a process, again, like something that we do, that intentional effort, but also something that is a result of what we do. And so we encourage you all to think about both. What does it look like and what happens when we do it? And then moving into how, bringing back the spheres of parent influence, and in particular digging a little deeper into the community systems and policy. So I just want to review the roles that what we did when we put together the resources is we carried out a lot of focus groups, both with parents who are engaged at that level of the community systems and policy level, and staff or stakeholders who are engaging them to see like, well, what's going on across the state and what's working already. And what we found is that parents were usually engaged in these 4 roles, which is family and community expert. So asking parents to provide feedback about their experience so that we can inform community change. And not only asking them about their experience, but then using it to influence and prioritize our work. So figuring out, what's the leverage point that in an environment of limited resources, how do we prioritize what we address in a way that makes the biggest difference for parents and their families? And then Outreach Ambassador is one that's very popular. It's a peer-to-peer outreach where parent leaders get trained and supported to go out in the community and talk to other parents. It tends to be a program that's sometimes it's time bound, and it looks different in different communities. And so we've seen parents who go out in their communities. They either do some door knocking, they go to events where parents already are at, or spaces where families are congregated. It's a lot easier to do in the summer and the spring. They go to parks and different events to get community feedback. They might have a survey about, like, hey, do you have a child? Are you interested in programs, or are you in a program? What was that experience like? And just get community feedback on whatever might be relevant. They also sometimes offer service referrals right then and there. We've seen them with paper referrals, or even sometimes like paper like pre-applications to kind of get that connection started, or hear from families about what their needs are, and then not only connect them to one particular program, but really saying like, what do you need? And then like, these are the menu of all these services in your community, and want to make sure that you're placed with a program that fits your needs, and not to like what Isaiah said, right? Not what we think you need, but what do you want, and we'll place you. They also invite parents to engage in other opportunities. They might be out in the community, giving flyers or getting referrals, and there might be an event coming up, like a parent cafe, and they have flyers. So it's, when they're out there, it's a great way to kind of get the word out at the same time. And these parent leaders are not only being engaged to plan the strategy, they know where parents are, they know the times and where to find them. So they plan the outreach strategy, and then they help tally up all the data that they're hearing out on the streets, and start making sense of the data, right? Like, okay, what are we hearing? Why do you think that might be? And then come in and present it back to whoever might be interested. Another role is obviously collaboration parent leader, where parent leaders participate in community systems change. They have a voice and a vote, so they engage in decision making. They listen to and represent community children and their families. So this means is that sometimes when we are engaging families and parents to come and tell us kind of their experience, we want to also be asking them about the experience of their neighbors and other people that from the community. So they're representing more than themselves, and it's helpful if they are connected already to other groups where they may regularly talk to parents. It could be, it could be their church, it could be their Head Start program, their home visiting program, a bilingual advisory committee, but they're kind of a bridge, right? Bringing information, taking information. They bring in and mentor other parents, and they may even represent their collaboration externally. They may be attending like conferences or just sharing their stories or participating on state work groups, but really getting their experience and their collaboration or their programs experience out there. Last but not least, parents as advocates, and we mean that in the way that we define advocate is a parent who's deciding policy priorities and also testifying to decision makers either in for or against a policy or practice or funding, right? And so they help bring a human face to the numbers, and it's a lot more powerful when instead of somebody like me going and talking to a legislator or a funder, telling them all these stories, where they could actually directly hear about these personal stories that humanize that experience. They often organize other families if they're really passionate about something that's going on. They're going to share, with other families and hopefully engage them in the advocacy. All right. So if there's any questions at any point, again, feel free to or even comments, feel free to add them in the chat or just jump in. And further adding to the how we are engaging parents, we put together four pillars that we call of intentional parent engagement, and we find that when we follow these 4 pillars, that it leads to sustainable and intentional engagement. And so the first one we identify as a systemic approach. And so that includes kind of everybody being on the same page with a shared definition and a commitment, right? So many times we're like, we want to do, we are committed to parent engagement, but we don't always understand, again, like what we mean or the resources that it takes to carry out the engagement that we want. And I think especially folks who are on the ground in the classrooms and doing this work, it's I think sometimes it feels like a burden because the powers that be don't understand the extra work that comes with engaging parents. And so I think it's good to be on the same page to increase success. Understanding each other's role and how they're connected to others in the system. For this, we also talk about parent engagement as a parent leadership pathway, right? Oftentimes, what is a part of parent engagement is helping parents recognize their own power and their own value to these spaces, and then helping them connect every engagement experience within the early childhood system so they can build on each experience, right? That maybe starting out small and adding until they feel a little bit more comfortable, and if they choose to, and if we are intentional about how we're inviting them to continue and deepen their engagement, they can continue to grow to the point where they are able to, if they want to, engage a little more deeply. And then coordinating and, again, reinforcing each other's parent engagement efforts. If there's a training at one program, in a community, is it open to parents that are not part of the program? Like they're all part of the community, right? So thinking like how are we all working together to support it? How are we coordinating it? And then the second pillar, ongoing capacity building. So part of that is what we realize is really creating well-defined engagement roles, really defining it, the opportunities for engagement for us as the people who are doing the engagement, but also for parents, right? Is it really clear these are all the ways that you can connect and become engaged with your child's program, with or with the early childhood system? Because I think that's one of the first barriers, right? It's like a lot of parents are like, well, I kind of want to be a part of it, but I don't even know where to start. But is it really clear? And are we helping them see all the different ways it can connect? We talk a lot about parent leadership. There are organizations that do amazing jobs at bringing in parent leadership development workshops. And those are the building blocks of parent engagement at the community system level for a few reasons, right? Again, like parents need to be able to feel like they belong. They're more likely to stay engaged over time if they feel equipped to take on what we're asking from them. And these parent leadership workshops often happen in a series of workshops where parents are able to build community, right? They're not only getting to know us as staff or as early childhood stakeholders, but they're getting to know each other so that they create a community where they support each other as parents, going through the same journey as parents, as the first teachers, like create a space where they can really help each other out. And equipping parents and those who engage them with knowledge, skills, and tools they need. And so for every engagement role that you're creating, really thinking through, and in the handbook, there's a planning form that kind of goes through different questions. And one of them is, what does the parent need to carry out this engagement role? How are we going to provide it for them? And it might be something as like, they just need to know, what we're using this information for. What do they need? They probably, childcare, like just really thinking what they need and the skills and tools. And for this, we also really encourage coaching. And these are for the more involved engagement roles, right? But a lot, as adult learners, if parents haven't been, exposed to the early childhood system, we may offer trainings and they're great, but a lot of times as adult learners, we learn by doing. And there's so much benefit to coaching and supporting parents as they are applying what they learned in these trainings. And the third pillar is equity-driven practices. So again, going to eliminating barriers to full parent participation and partnership. And these can include things like transportation, interpretation, translation, refreshments for them and their children. And overall, what parents need to participate will look different in different communities. And so we encourage everyone to work with the parents in their community to help identify like what are obstacles. It could be transportation, it could be something else that's very local and can be addressed. I see there's a chat comment. Will you share resources for parent leadership development workshops? Our website and a partnerplanact.org. Under this website, you can find our resources, but you can also, like if you scroll all the way to the bottom, find resources for other engagement organizations, like that are already doing a great work. So I know one of the agencies or organizations that does amazing parent leadership development is Kofi, Community Organizing and Family Issues. And we do have a link to their website on our website. We also have a link to some family cafe workshops and a few other resources on our website. You're welcome. All right, let's see. And a huge question to think about is also who are we engaging, right? And if we want to be true to equity principles, we also encourage everyone to engage parents who are representative of the diversity in the communities that you serve, and prioritize those parents and families from underserved priority populations. So even if there might be, if at a system level you're exploring like why are there so many slots for Head Start and why are they not being filled? And then you're asking, maybe you're looking at some data and you see that like overall all children are not accessing that service, but in particular, like when you look at the number of maybe Black or Latino students who are accessing the services, they're lower than everyone else, but there might be only like 100 Black or Latino students. We encourage to start there, because when we help those underrepresented or under-resourced communities connect to the programs, everybody is going to benefit. And then, that's where I was going to, prioritizing the needs of the most underserved. And the fourth pillar is shared responsibility, leadership, and power. This one's a hard one sometimes to really share the power and to give families a say, and let them really influence and shape our initiatives or what we're working on. So I wanted to stop here a second because I think a lot of this you might be saying like, oh, that's more like for collaborations, or I'm not working in that way. But I think these pillars can definitely be transferable to engaging parents as first teachers. Things like in terms of sharing, responsibility or expertise and leadership, just a simple action of asking parents like, well, where is it that you need more support, right? And having them identify or choose kind of what workshops you're holding for them, and then when you hold activities for parents as a first teacher, asking them for their feedback, right? Like, what did you like from this? What didn't you like from it? So that they can influence the way that we work and make it better, or the time's good. And parents who have who are able to and choose to become consistently engaged, inviting them to share like their testimonies, or inviting them to kind of create these workshop agendas with you, really, you may have heard in other workshops, but really doing with instead of doing to, and they have so many ideas. I think we really just have to listen and then implement. Okay, Janine Manser is sharing, I'm curious about the percentage of families who reach the community systems and policy level of engagement, particularly in birth to 3 program with many first-time parents. Janine, you are transitioning us to the question and answer time. So right now, I invite everybody at this point to pop in any questions that you might have. So Janine, this is a great question. In the 10 years or so of doing parent leadership development, that began in the first in that first sphere and kind of spanned all the way to the third, there is a huge drop off. You know, a lot of times parents get involved because they want to be the best first teacher and they want to support their child, and that's it. That's all they're interested in, and that's fine. And so it can be up to like 50% at each level that there's a drop off, and that's completely normal. It's going to definitely shrink, and I think that as long as the parents who are reaching that community systems and policy level are connected with their community and connected to the broader group of parents, so they're bringing their stories into the space, I think that's worked out for us. And I think so also offering, even within the community systems and policy sphere, offering a variety of roles, right? There, it spans like from family and community expert. It could take a parent 10 minutes to fill out a survey that is going to be used to influence that kind of level of work. And so offering those opportunities for that parent that has 10 minutes, or that parent who wants to be part of the collaboration and has 10 hours a week and wants to be really involved is I think part of making this work, right? And I know personally, like I have a 12-year-old, and ironically, I did a lot of this engagement work, but at my son's school, I didn't have a whole lot of time. There were some parents who were literally at the school like 20 hours a week. I was very grateful. But it turned out that those 20, that small group of parents were making decisions because they had more stock, right? They had more relationship. And, and I think we, pushed the school to say, like, just because I'm a single mom, I can't be in the school 20 hours a week, but I still am an expert in my child's experience, and I still want to be able to influence the decisions, how we spend the funding, what we do, what's happening at the school. And so really we push the school to like engage everyone, not just those 5 parents. And so offering many opportunities for parents wherever they're at, meeting them where they're at to be able to still influence decisions, and not leaving it just to the parents that are the loudest or the ones that are able to spend the most time. And not taking it personally or not feeling like initiatives are failing when there is a huge drop off, because some parents are interested, some parents are not, some parents are able to do it and other parents are not. And one of the resources that we also really leaned on described this stream of engagement roles across the 3 different spaces and spheres as something that parents also should be able to jump in and out of, right? Depending on what's happening in their life. And so providing a structure, but being flexible enough to know that people's circumstances change. And so parents might be really active for a certain amount of time and then decide to kind of step back over time, over years, and being flexible enough to let them do that. And parent engagement in the early childhood system is also really hard because, as you all know, children age out of programs super fast, and sometimes the parent leadership development often takes time. And so a way to navigate that is to start as soon as possible, but also leave the engagement opportunities for open to grandparents or to parents that have recently aged out, and offering them also like mentorship opportunities so that they're still connected, and then they still are able to help develop the leadership of other parents. But it's hard work. Yeah. Any I'm just curious, Janine, if I answered your question.
Sort of. I appreciate you answering as you did. I guess I feel like in our Birth to 3 home visiting program, I mostly see teens, and really, to be honest, like in a year, if I get like 1 or 2 parents that tend to want to go above and beyond, you know, even trying to attend our monthly meetings, it's kind of difficult, you know, to do that. I can think of over the years, just really a handful of parents that have been on advisory boards, and you know, that's basically the main way that we have engaged them at that little bit higher level. But we have not really recognized or identified, you know, many parents for the level that that I think we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that leadership development training, I think is helpful to bring parents into the fold soon. You know, I think workshops is something that parents have become used to engaging in that way. It's structured, it's familiar, and so bringing them in that way has been really helpful, because then they come in not alone, but like as a cohort, and they're able to, you know, a lot of times there's like the buddy system, and they're able to go to meetings or participate not by themselves, but they're kind of representing something bigger than themselves, like a group, and that's very helpful. And the coaching is again so supportive. So I just want to do a time check. Karen, how we doing? You're welcome.
It's 5:07 and we have till 5:30.
Okay. Let's see. So we can continue to do any more question and answers. And it doesn't even have to be on kind of what was presented, but if there is any questions that you had or were hoping to be addressed, that maybe I can take a stab at. Was this relevant, or I'm just wondering too, like, was it something that is helpful, or are you still looking for more engagement in the other 2 spheres, or engagement as in the classroom and as parents and as first teachers? And I will add to that too, is like, if something that that we see a lot is whether it is the collaboration leaders or leaders that are a little bit more established or that are engaging on more the community systems level, is how do we tap them to help them lead some of the engagement work in the other spheres, right? Let's see. Thank you for the community systems and policy level of engagement. You're welcome. And so there's think there is a lot of benefits and creating spaces where parents are just building relationships, supporting, we've heard a lot of parent cafes or parent breakfasts, brunches, just memorial networking, relationship building and opportunities. And those are great and are really necessary. And in terms of kind of also just even taking it a little bit further is how are you engaging parents to take leadership within those spaces, right? And so there's been, collaborations that will train parents who are interested so that they can lead the parent cafes, right? Or engaging parents to lead some of the workshops and the parent leadership workshops that I mentioned. What they do is parents who have gone through the cohorts in previous years and are interested, they get trained to co-facilitate with whoever's facilitating the workshop. And they are really brought in as partners. I mean, I think that there's some conversations to be had around compensation and stipends and how to make sure that we are, again, compensating parents for the work that we ask of them. But there are some, some communities doing some really great work with helping parents engage other parents. And it's that, that peer-to-peer, it has so much power. And, there's parents who show up because it's like, it's another parent who's inviting them, or who see the leadership development of other parents and say, like, I want to do that. I want to be that person. And so that's a strategy that works too. All right, there's some stuff in the chat. Yes, this is relevant. I'm the parent education coordinator for 2 counties, 13 school districts. Wow. Mostly rural. I struggle finding parents who would be interested in being leaders in their communities because I don't personally know the families. I rely on teachers to identify them, but they are also busy and don't feel they have the capacity to help develop this side of engagement. Yeah. Resources and staff to carry out this work is unfortunately and still in the state of Illinois are hard to come by for sure. That oftentimes it's something that we ask people to do on top of the work they already do, but family engagement can be a full-time job. And so in the handbook, actually, there is the way that we put it out there is that we, the first section is kind of how, as a collaboration or a group, if you're getting started to with parent engagement or deepening your parent engagement that you already have, what are some steps that you might take? The second section is of actually what are the, blanking out. The first section is what are the steps that you might take, and then we go through a little bit about how does it look with each role. And so there's tools to be able to implement each of the roles that we just shared with you. And so if you're thinking about executing a peer-to-peer ambassador program, there's tools in the handbook such as scripts, tally sheets, different things that you can use if you are looking to, the one that seems to be more doable for a lot of folks is engaging parents in the family and community expert. So there's information on the different methods of engaging families and listening to them, how to share data with the community. There's a bank of questions that you can use in a survey or a focus group. And there's also a resource guide that outlines the different resources to consider when you're looking to engage families, different ideas to pool resources together, because we know that it's tough out there. Let's see. Yes, it's on the website. And which leads me to the different supports that we do offer as my team completely for free. And you can access these on the website. There's the Parent Engagement Handbook. And then based on the Parent Engagement Handbook, we've created a Parent Engagement On-Demand Learning course. And this is a self-guided, interactive course on the content of the handbook that that leads you through a process for understanding the content of the handbook, but also gives you the tools to take back to your team or your collaboration. We try to do it as hands-on as possible. There's parent engagement videos. One of them, it features parents from around the Chicagoland area. We wanted to do it across the state, but then the pandemic took place. But the Chicagoland area, so Chicago, and there's some parents from like Elgin and Aurora and Plano, talking about their parent engagement experience and why they did it and what they got from it, kind of like Isaiah's video. And there's another video that outlines our parent engagement belief statements, so the core principles that undergirth all of the resources. And they're on our website. Feel free to use them or however you want. And we also offer on-demand consultation, which is short-term coaching and support by our team. It could be on parent engagement, but there's also a variety of topics that we offer support with that include data, equity, definitely just how to, any issues or any questions and supports needed around running a collaboration or collaborative, and completely free and easy to access. And those are on our website as well. And short-term commitments, there's nothing to access. All you have to do is go on our website and fill a short form telling us kind of what kind of supports are needed. And then we'd set up a meeting with you all to see if and how we can support you all. We offer regular trainings and are always open to chatting if y'all want to stay in contact as well. All right. So I know it's a little early, but we really got through everything that I wanted to share. So if there's no more questions, we could give you all back like 10 minutes of your day. But I can stick around if there's any questions.